that Muhammad, Krishna, or the Buddha are the way. Still some believe it's right to say in the name of Jesus when you pray. We are a humankind of 7 billion, so many different races and religions, and it all comes down to one. Some say God's a him, and still many believe that he is a her. Does God live in our hearts, or is she somewhere out there in the universe? We are a humankind of 7 billion, so many different races and religions, and it all comes down to one. How far will we have to go before we learn the lesson? Gandhi was a Hindu, Martin Luther King a Christian. Regardless of religion, they knew love was the mission, and it all comes down to one. No God at all, or a pantheon of gods up in the sky. We can heal our broken heart if we give up the desire to be right. We are a humankind of 7 billion, so many different races and religions, and we all want the same things: health, love, prosperity, and peace. Tolerance is the seed, and the gift of your acceptance is the tree. We are a humankind of 7 billion, so many different races and religions, and it all comes down to one. Whether you are red, brown, yellow, black, or white, a man with a husband or a woman with a wife, we can debate until the end of time who's wrong and who is right, but we can see ourselves as one, 'cause it all comes down to love.
Purpose statement. Our purpose is to create a spiritual community that recognizes that there is one presence and one power in the universe, God. Daily, we actively practice this spiritual truth. We open our heart space to each person to acknowledge one another as expressions of God. It is in each other that we see God.
Good morning. God, we welcome you among us today as we celebrate this gift of love you've given us. We gather in your presence today with open hearts and minds. Bless this time of worship with your grace and your spirit. Open our hearts and minds as we receive today's message. We appreciate this opportunity to gather together in your presence and thank you for life, love, health, family, and friends. Blessings. And so it is.
Here we go.
Alright, I'ma try to do this for you one more time. Yeah. Uh. Yeah. Come on.
Baby, you don't understand why I gotta dance. There was something had me down, but it's over now. I'ma throw my hands up, wave them all in the air. All I wanna do is dance, dance, dance. Ain't good enough, don't look good enough, don't sing good enough. Maybe you should give it up. But if I would've, then I never could have received all of the things that were planned for me. So I waited a little longer, grew a little stronger, and then I realized something was happening. So incredible, it's inexplicable. You ought to try it for yourself and see, because maybe you don't understand why I gotta dance. There was something had me down, but it's over now. I'ma throw my hands up, wave them all in the air. All I wanna do is dance, dance, dance. Sometimes I think about how it used to be, and can't help but remembering how it was never easy for me. No, no. But the way the love works is so amazing. No need to beg or plead, just sing crazy. That's enough for me to lift my hands up. I'm sorry if you don't understand. Baby, you don't understand why I gotta dance. There was something had me down, but it's over now. I'ma throw my hands up, wave them all in the air. All I wanna do is dance, dance, dance. Baby, you don't understand why I gotta dance. There was something had me down, but it's over now. I'ma throw my hands up, wave them all in the air. All I wanna do is dance, dance, dance. It's over now. 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 All I wanna do is dance, dance, dance. Maybe you don't understand why I gotta dance. There was something had me down, but it's over now. I'ma throw my hands up, wave them all in the air. All I wanna do is dance, dance, dance. Maybe you don't understand why I gotta dance. There was something had me down, but it's over now. I'ma throw my hands up, wave them all in the air. All I wanna do is dance, dance, dance. Maybe you don't understand why I gotta dance. There was something had me down, but it's over now. I'ma throw my hands up, wave them all in the air. All I wanna do is dance, dance, dance. Maybe you don't understand why I gotta dance. There was something had me down, but it's over now. I'ma throw my hands up, wave them all in the air. All I wanna do is dance, dance, dance. Maybe you don't understand why I gotta dance. There was something had me down, but it's over now. I'ma throw my hands up, wave them all in the air. All I wanna do is dance, dance, dance.
Our affirmation for the month of February. My higher wisdom self. Intuition is truth, my truth. God is revealing itself through me, and I am guided by intuition as I make decisions and choices from this highest place. It is the feeling that all is well, even in the most dire experiences. I am easily comforted by my higher wisdom self because I know that it and it alone is the only truth I need to hear to be set free. Amen, Ashe, and so it is.
Today is a day like no other day. Just think and you'll know that it's true. Days like today should be holidays. So I'm singing this message to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day.
When in the midst of sorrow, you can see up when looking down. A brighter day tomorrow will bring. You hear the voice of reason telling you this can never be done. No matter how hard reality seems, just hold on to your dreams. Don't give up and don't give in. Although it seems you never win, you will always pass the test as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. Be optimistic. You will always do your best. If you learn to never say never, you may be down, but you're not out. Don't give up and don't give in. Although it seems you never win, you will always pass the test as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win, yes, as long as you keep your
Okay, good morning. This is out of Pam Grout's book, E Squared. And currently our minds are devoted to things we do not want. Our positive intentions copy but a tiny sliver of our minds. The rest is focused on the problems we hope the intentions will eliminate. The majority of our brain power is devoted to the old beliefs of scarcity, problem relationship, and a God who shoots firebolts from heaven. The reason 99.9% of your mind is still devoted to things you don't want is because that's the world's default setting, what it defines as normal. The world's default setting sees news about floods and earthquakes, hears stories about your second cousin epilepsy, and says, "See, what did I tell you?" It's next to impossible to override the world's default setting, even though you know, at least theoretically, that another way is possible. Let's take being broke, for example. Most of us agree we don't want to be broke, so what do? We devote our minds to avoiding it. We work long hours. We call our stockbrokers. We read books and articles about getting rich, fully ignoring the fact that by trying to get rich, we are devoting our minds to the idea that we're not already rich. Consequently, we've decided in advance to be broke. If we simply devote our minds to feeling rich, to being grateful for the already apparent riches in our lives, say our families and our wonderful friends, being broke would disappear. We only experience it because we devote our thoughts to it. That's how powerful our minds are. And Leo Tolstoy, a Russian novelist, has said, "Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. Changing the self helps change the world." So be it. Ta-da!
Let's take a minute and find out what's happening with Open Heart this week and in the weeks to come. Here are your announcements. At Open Heart, we believe in the power of affirmative prayer. Each and every individual and family you see represented here, we continue to pray for you. Our prayer team each morning remembers you, and we hold the space for you, as well as all of you who are a part of our Open Heart family. There are several ways to give to Open Heart: through our Cash App at OHSC901, online at OHSC901.com, or text the word GIVE to 615-422-4290. Begin or continue your day with prayer through our daily affirmative prayer call every morning at 8 a.m. Central Time, 901-586-8755. Each week, you have the opportunity to see the work of our music director, Jason Tejada. But did you know that he is also the leader of a band? That's right, Eclipse the Band. And they have the significant honor of performing for the Thacker Mountain Radio Hour. You can catch it on Friday, February the 16th at 6 a.m. on WYXR 91.7 FM. Or if that's a little bit too early for you, you can also catch the performance on Saturday, February the 17th at mpbonline.org. This is a significant stride in the life of the Eclipse Band, and we congratulate Jason. On Sunday, February the 18th at 11 a.m., I'll be the guest speaker at Unity Christian Church, 3345 McCorkle Road in Whitehaven. It's an opportunity for another fellowship with our sister congregation. Black history is a part of history year-round. But traditionally in the month of February, we highlight the accomplishments of Black Americans and beyond. And courtesy of the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas, we are featuring the pioneers and evolutionaries of science of mind. Hope you enjoy.
Here's a little-known Black history science of mind fact. Meet Sarah Flowers, a prolific African-American writer of science of mind books in the 1940s. Flowers was a writer, publisher, metaphysician, frequent speaker, and teacher of the science of mind. She took the major course at the Institute of Religious Science in Los Angeles in 1937 and wrote her first book, Common Sense and Its Application in Everyday Life, in 1941. Other books followed, including The Metaphysical Thesaurus and Metaphysical Dictionary, Should I Pay for Metaphysical Treatment, and Atomic Metaphysics, The Electrical Principle of Man. In Atomic Metaphysics, she writes, "In metaphysics, we must then recognize that there is a power that revolves in and around, out and beyond us, at a rate equal to the atomic energy in our material beings." But it's important to note what Sarah Flowers considered her most important work: teaching practitioners metaphysical treatment for all of the problems that confront us today. You might think Science of Mind's inclusive teachings of oneness would be immune to America's history of racial segregation, but that was not the case. Dr. J. Arthur Twine founded Eastside Church of Religious Science in his home in 1932. The congregation quickly grew and became the third church to be ordained and chartered by Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science. It was a thriving multiracial church, but in 1945, Third Church of Religious Science, as it was now called, was moved to the bottom of the church listings in Science of Mind magazine and noted as a colored church. Ernest Holmes found this unacceptable and went to speak to church members. He said, "I have been told that too many non-Caucasians attend these lectures. True, there are Caucasians and non-Caucasians in this congregation, but this we must affirm. We are all children of one living God, one God that permeates all without exception, one intelligence that governs all, and most important, every man and woman who abides in the universe is a significant entity in the one universal consciousness. Our doors will forever be open to all. Whoever you are, be proud. You are a divine idea in the mind of God." The magazine staff immediately corrected this error and returned to listing churches alphabetically. The following year, Dr. Twine made his transition, but the church remains strong today as Third Church Center for Spiritual Living. A number of Dr. Twine's descendants became practitioners, lay leaders, and ministers, including his great-granddaughter, Reverend Stacy Hilton, who currently serves as co-spiritual director of the Las Vegas Center for Spiritual Living. Dr. J. Arthur Twine and Sarah Flowers, Black evolutionaries in Science of Mind.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. Ooh, 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 through a party, invited everyone you should do. You'll see the biggest gift would be from say thank you for being caught attached. Would say thank you for being caught attached. Would say thank you for being a friend. Keep shining, knowing you can always count on me for sure. That's what friends are for good times and bad times. I'll be on your side forevermore. That's what friends are for. Ooh, oh, you got a friend in me.
Good morning. One of these days, I'm going to make a video to show the behind the scenes for pulling this Heartstream together, all of the things that go into doing this. I know that Jason provides the wonderful videos that you see of the Voices from the Heart, and people who do affirmative readings and evocations provide their videos, and then I use a platform to put it all together. And sometimes technology, while it is very helpful, and we would not be able to do this without technology, there are also times when technology doesn't quite work the way it's supposed to. This morning is one of those times when trying to get the video that I recorded of my message actually earlier this morning uploaded, I had all types of problems. So here I am live. I do it from time to time live. And so this morning is going to be one of those opportunities for me to do this message live, because I've already done it once. This will be my second time doing it, but the first time, the only person that heard it and saw it was me. And now I share it with you, and I'm glad to do this. Those of you that are living in Memphis, and I know that it's true for people in a few other parts of the country, but those of you in Memphis know that for the last several days, we have had rain, rain, rain. As a matter of fact, my wife and I were joking. We were wondering if there was still more rain to come. And this morning, when I got up and noticed that it had stopped raining, I said to her, it looks as if we've run out of rain. And, you know, there are always times like this when there's an abundance of rain that is happening. People will start making jokes about building an ark. And, of course, referring to the story of Noah's ark that we can find in the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible. And however you interpret that story, however you want to deal with it, because I know that it's actually a rendition of a much older story. But the point of it is, as I thought about that, as I was listening to jokes and even told a few of those myself, I thought about the fact that if you listen to the story, if you read the story and you consider the story, what happened with Noah was Noah got the word, he got the idea, he got the vision to build the ark, even when there had not been rain, even when there were no signs of rain. But Noah had this voice, he had something say to him that it's time to do this ark. It's time to build this ark. And he proceeded to do so. He got others to help him, but as he proceeded to do so, there were people who thought that what he was doing was ridiculous and crazy. And it brings me to the point this morning that begins my message. Do you hear what I hear? The idea is that the vision that Noah received, no one else did. Noah was the one who heard it. And it's the same thing when it comes to the intuition, as I talked about last week, the guidance, talking about what comes from our higher wisdom self. We are the ones who hear it, but no one else does. We are the ones who receive it, but no one else does. It is our vision. It is your vision. It is what comes to you. And I think about this minister. He wrote books on preaching, and I had an opportunity to hear in seminary to hear him in person. And one of the things that he said is, when it comes to preaching, he says that preaching begins with a whisper and it ends in a shout. It begins with a whisper and it ends with a shout. And I think that's true for a lot of things in life where vision is involved, where ideas are involved, where creativity, the sparks of creativity are involved. It begins with the whisper and it ends, and I'm going to use an old school metaphysical term, it ends with an out picturing. In other words, it begins with a whisper. But ultimately, when we follow through on that urging, when we follow through on that nudge, when we follow through on that vision, when we follow through on that guidance, it comes into fruition. It manifests. It comes forth when we are faithful to this message. And I think there's some things that we have to do when we do have that guidance, that still small voice. There are some things that we need to do in order to be successful. And the first is this: we need to tell the negative committee in your mind to sit down. That's right. Tell the negative committee in your head to sit down. We all know the negative committee. It's the one that reminds us when we tried something in the past, it didn't work. It's the one that asks us, who do you think you are? It's the one that says, this is ridiculous. Where are you going to get the money from? Where are you going to get the resources from? People are going to think you're crazy. What will other people think? What will other people say about you? The negative committee that will shut things down before you can even get started. And the other part of that is not only will the negative committee in our minds operate, but as we begin paying attention to that and giving it energy, then we begin drawing other people in our lives who just affirm and co-sign what the negative committee has to say. And so there'll be other people that will remind us of times in the past when we try something. Other people who will tell us, don't you realize how ridiculous that sounds, how ridiculous that is? Understand this, that your vision is your vision, and what God has for you is for you. It's important that as we remember this, we go through this process of living from our vision, of recognizing what is there for us, knowing this to be the truth. We recognize that we are unique, individualized expressions of God, and nobody can outbe you being you, and you ought to bloom where you're planted and be the best you that you can be, living from this awareness, living from this understanding, living from this idea allows us, because you are the one who hears, you are the one that receives the vision. Ernest Holmes wrote, back of the conflict of ideas, back of the din of external life and action, back in the innermost recesses of uplifted thought and silent contemplation, there is a voice ever proclaiming, this is my beloved child. Seldom does this voice penetrate to the outer world of human experience. Don't let a blind person proofread your vision. Again, it's your vision. He goes on to write, seldom does anyone allow it to perfectly express through them. We must learn to listen for this voice. Call it conscience, intuition, or what we will, it is there. No one need go unguided through life, for all are divine at the center, and all are images of the Most High. This affirmation treatment goes like this. There is only one voice, one power, one life. It is beating within me and surrounding me and flowing into experience as me. It's my true vibration. This voice, this power, this life is my life now. There is nothing that separates me from the one life. This is the truth for me and every part of creation. We are in perfect vibration with the one life, the one voice. I love what Reverend Rita Andrello Farron writes. My heart has never led me in the wrong direction. The only times I've encountered difficulties in my life is when I've gotten my head in the way of my heart. Listening to my heart doesn't mean I don't use logic. Listening to my heart is logic. However, it's a different kind of logic. It is spiritual logic. When I listen to my heart, I depend on spiritual laws and the unseen. I know that if something is intuiting through me as a thing I must follow, that it is coming from my truth. I know it because it is loving. It doesn't mean that it won't yank me completely from the path I'm on. Yes. It means that my life is being led from a higher place, and I have to follow it because it is the only thing to do. Interestingly, if I don't, I end up there eventually. It just takes longer, and there is more struggle, twists and turns, and unrest. When we don't listen to this voice, when we may end up there eventually, but sometimes we take the hard road. We will not listen. We will run from it. We will not give it much credence because somehow it's going to pull us out of our comfort zone. It's going to bring about change in our lives. It's going to have us doing things or seeing things in a different way, oftentimes being different. But when we understand what it is that we need to do, then we can yield to this voice, heed this voice, and the guidance that comes with it. She says, I never want to lose that special listening power that vibrates as my heart. I want to cultivate it by taking time with myself. I must listen without thinking I know the outcome. It is open-ended listening. I am open at the top. I am not listening to what I want to hear. When I listen to my heart, the voice is sometimes gentle and sometimes strong. It isn't always the easiest path. However, because I'm being led by the heart, all sorts of energy comes to assist me. So every time a decision is to be made, I listen to my heart. It points the way into my true self and all I am to fulfill here on this planet. I think it's important also that when we ask, well, how do you know when it is your heart? How do you know when it is spirit that is guiding and directing you in your life? How do you know that it's that particular voice? And I think the important part of this, the understanding to recognize again, is the idea that we have to spend time being still. We have to spend time in the silence. We have to spend time away from the noise and away from the turmoil and away from the chaos and all of the other things that are happening around us. Take time to be still. Whatever method we use, whether it's meditation, whether it's walking in nature, whether it's spending time doing something that you love doing, whether it's while you're in the shower, insights come, whatever else, but taking the time to truly be still, taking the time to listen and knowing that these insights, this intuition, this creativity, these sparks of knowing come to you in many different ways. It might be that you have that still small voice, such as Elijah. It could be that you have a burning bush, such as Moses did. I have my friend, Reverend Rice Nichols, who says all the time, Gilmore is what you call the Gilmore. I need a burning bush moment. And she's really talking about the fact that she needs something in her face, if you will, to let her know the direction or if a decision she's trying to make is right. It might be a song that you hear. It might be that while you're out in nature and you observe something in nature that helps you to understand what it is that is going on. I remember a good friend of mine, the Reverend Ronald Pope, delivering a message one time, and he talked about the fact that he had a lot of turmoil and a lot of things going on in his life, and it seems like things had gotten to a bottleneck, and he was really trying to figure out what was on the other side, what was going to be the end result of all of the things that he was experiencing. So he decided to take a walk in the forest behind his house. And as he was walking, he walked along a stream, and he observed in the stream there were a bunch of leaves and twigs and other things that were rushing down with the stream. As he continued to follow it, he saw that they got to a point, and there were some other rocks and other things that were there. And as the twigs and the leaves got there, they started to churn and to bubble at that point. And he noticed that after that point, as he walked further beyond there, now all of a sudden the water was clear. And it was a sign for him that he was at that point where the churning and the chaos and everything else that was happening in his life, that was going on in his life, but he got the assurance in that moment that just on the other side, just across all of that, there were clear waters that were waiting for him. There were things that were him, and that encouraged him like nothing else, and that allowed him to keep on keeping on. It's something for us to understand that we have this guidance, we have this wisdom that is leading us through. And when we are open and available to it, it comes to us and provides us with what we need to know. It provides us with directing us into what it is that we need to do. I'm really delighted to share this story from my friend Alice Faye Duncan. She tells the story about Ernestine Rogers Robinson, that today, as a matter of fact, here in Memphis, the world premiere of her Harriet Tubman oratorio is coming into, it's going to be premiered. The Memphis Symphony Orchestra is going to do it. And the story that she writes about Ernestine Rogers Robinson is a really unique one in the way that she creates, because Ernestine has no musical training. She doesn't really play an instrument. She just tells the story of there was a time in which she was getting ready for a play at the church that she was attending. It was a children's play. It was an Easter story. She didn't feel like that it was representing things the way in which she wanted to, so she decided to write her own. And as she was getting ready for rehearsal, she was sitting in her room with her Bible, and she opened it up to John. I think she said it was John 3, chapter 3, verses 16 and 17. And as she read the first verse out loud, that the verse came out like a symphonic medley. And then as she read the second verse, it came out as something else in a melodic kind of way. And she was startled by it. She was puzzled by it. And she shared it with a musician friend of hers a little bit later. And the musician friend said to her, well, continue to go down this path, continue to go with it, because if God gave you 2 lines, God certainly can give you an entire song. So she went with that and suddenly found herself composing music and composing symphonies, and without training or anything else like that. And her method is that she sees things and renders things in mathematical symbols, and then she gives them to a musician friend of hers who transposes them and transforms them into the symphonic ideas and things. And what's so interesting about it is that when she first began doing this, she and her husband went around to churches and colleges and other places here in Memphis to try and get exposure for her work. And they all slammed doors in her face. And she prayed and asked God, why all of this rejection? And the voice that she said that she heard is that your vision is too small. So she began seeing her symphony performed internationally on larger stages in other places. And eventually, some of her work has been performed at Carnegie Hall several times, and even performed at Improv there, where she had the opportunity to take her family, her daughter, Michelle McKissick, Robinson McKissick. Some of you in Memphis may recognize as the president of the Memphis City School Board, but she narrated it, but it was a big event for her. And it was an opportunity for that vision to even become larger, because she was faithful to it, because she listened to it, and she allowed it to come forth for her. And now today, the world premiere for this Harriet Tubman oratorio is happening this afternoon. But because of hearing what she heard and knowing that it was her vision and following through on her vision, that things happen for her. And what I'm saying to you this morning is that each of us has the opportunity to listen to that still small voice, to listen for and to look for and to be guided for the ways in which the universe is directing us, the things it's directing us to do. Because as we do so, and we're able to tell the negative committee to sit down, as we recognize and realize that we are not going to give our vision to a blind person to proofread, but we're going to be faithful. We're going to ask for strength. We're going to continue to rely on all that it is that has for us, because your vision is your vision. And what God has for you is for you. And it is your opportunity and your time to shine. Amen. Ashe, and so it is. I got to switch to the next scene.